And hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 35 of the Fully Redded podcast. My name is Bryan. He is Bonongos, and she is also Bonongos, but with autism. But yes,
another perfect intro,
Best
expertly
intro.
navigated by Bryan the Pirate.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But yes, we've got quite the show for you today. We're going to try and keep it to exactly 2 hours if possible. I have a hair on my face. What the hell is this shenanigans?
Yeah, it's called a beard. You
have a lot of hair on your face,
I have
sir.
many hairs. Many hairs. Listen, don't be judging me and my perfect beard. But yes, so we've got a couple of subjects to talk about today. A lot of changes are ongoing in the industry as we speak in some ways. But,
changes is
crazy because after last
scrabbling for a foothold so they don't drown.
We'll get into that. It's interesting. I think there's definitely some things that are being probably a little bit blown out of proportion. In fact, there's a little mini subject that I haven't added to the agenda. The UK, or a court case is going on in the UK where they're suing Steam, for example, apparently because they think that Steam are ripping people off, and it turns out the people who are trying to sue Steam just don't know how Steam works. So that's like a really like blown out of proportion thing that was in the news cycle, and it just turns out that the people just don't understand how the 30%
That's usually how it
works.
Has that actually gone to a court yet? I'm just waiting for it to be instantly thrown out because they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
I haven't been like keeping up with it because I read what the premise was, and they were like, yeah, it's uncompetitive because 30%, and it was like that's standard, including at brick and mortar places, and it's only on keys sold on Steam.
Yeah, it's literally on their own keys on their own store.
Yeah.
Like other stores can have keys.
Yeah. To elaborate a bit more, Steam's rule is if you use Steam to distribute your game, you can't resell as the developer or the publisher. You can't resell those keys at a lower price off Steam. So it's specifically in that instance. So you go to Steam and Steam go, here's 1,000 keys, and you go, you know what, I'm going to take 250 of those and sell them as the developer on our own store, but cheaper. You can't do that.
Yeah,
whereas
I wouldn't imagine you could do that.
Yeah, whereas the people that are trying to sue Steam are like, oh, they won't let us sell it cheaper. They're price fixing. And it's like, no, you can still sell the game. You just can't sell Steam keys cheaper.
Yeah, you can't sell a Steam product.
You don't realize you're trying to compete with Steam with their own like it's you're the developer, but it is a Steam, like it's for Steam. So you have to drive sale. You would want to have a Steam key would be driving the sales to Steam.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were like, oh, and it's 30%, which is obscene. And it's like 30% is literally every games launcher, like, GOG, Green Man Gaming.
That sounds so.
It also doesn't matter what that percentage is, right?
I'm buying.
It's the market.
It's like, we're going to host your game. Okay. Here's your keys.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but you can only play them here. You have to use our client. Yeah, but I'm going to take some of them and I'm going to go scalp them.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's literally what they're like doing is they're trying to scalp their own
charge
keys.
for their servers either for your game, right?
Sweetheart, that's not how it works. You know, scalping is really frowned upon too.
Yeah, true. It's a silly minor subject. It's why we didn't cover it previously, because I read into it and I was just like, this person's in for a shock when they find out that they're just being a dumbass.
It's kind of like, think about if you you were in a band and you were going to be playing at the Palladium or something like that, and you have all these tickets, and then as a band member, they'll be like, here's 200 tickets for you, you can give them to your friends and family, and you go out on the street and start selling them.
Yeah.
200, you're such an extrovert.
No, but because I'm trying, or 50 tickets, because maybe the friends might have friends that they want to bring or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm not in a band. But it's it just sounds like, you go here's your tickets for your friends and family. You just go on the street and selling them.
Yeah.
For cheaper.
Yeah.
So you could pocket the difference, because that's also too, is you're pocketing the difference, and that's really sketchy too.
And the thing is, as long as you if you're someone who's purchased the key yourself and you want to resell it, you can, and you can resell it at any price you want. It's just specifically the people who are dealing directly with Steam, the publishers, the developers. They can't do that. And yeah, it was silly. It's very, very silly.
You can't undercut the you can't undercut the client.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you can't do that. That's so rude.
Our first,
You feel a type of way. It's like, I'm selling tickets for your event, and then I'm gonna go sell them cheaper than you.
yeah, exactly, 100%. It's silly. It's a
Such
very
douche canoe move.
it's a very obvious thing, and yeah, this person suing them thinks it's something completely different. So
Good luck, homie.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll. As a bold move, Cotton. See how it works out for him.
The problem is that person has done some really cool online campaigning stuff. This one's just a bit of an L, unfortunately.
yeah, they're definitely in for a shock.
The problem is when you do stuff like this, though, is it's going to like, if you've been doing like cool shit otherwise like that, like other campaigns, and it's like this is going to like taint it a little bit because it comes off a little petty.
Yeah, 100%. Or just naive, and then whenever they do something in the future where they're actually an expert on the subject matter, people are then going to be like,
even if
doubt.
I wouldn't even go with that naive, because it just sounds kind of sketchy, like coming like when the way you describe it. It's like, and I guess maybe it's because I've worked in like, or I've been around like, you know, bands and stuff a lot. That's why that's where I use that analogy from, where it's like, dude, a venue would be pissed
to be clear,
if you sold like,
based on the argument they've put forward, they don't actually understand what they're saying is wrong. It's not like they're not trying to get around that rule. They literally don't understand the rule.
But going the lawsuit route, all they're going to end up doing is burning their bridge with Steam, and they're not going to be able to distribute on Steam anymore, probably. Because I mean, I don't know if Steam's going to go that route.
No, it's just an online campaign, or it's not.
It's not a distributor.
Oh, it's an online campaign. I thought you said it was a lawsuit. Oh, okay.
No, so they are trying to basically sue on the behalf of consumers and consumer rights, basically. So this campaign.
But that's not. But no,
it's because they don't understand the rule. That's the fundamental.
No one asked you
of it.
to do that, sir.
But like,
I think someone has asked them to do it because she is usually well informed. She does some really good stuff with protecting kids online because parents don't want to do it. She's done some really cool family stuff, and she seems to know her shit. But this seems very poorly
it doesn't seem thought out at all.
She doesn't, like, from what I've read, she doesn't seem to know that she's that Steam is talking about selling its own product, its keys.
Yeah, she's fighting ghosts.
She doesn't seem to know the difference.
Yeah, she's fighting ghosts basically, and she's in.
So I'm not sure what that's about, unless somebody said, "Hey, look at this thing. You should do this thing," and has given her money to do that. Although she doesn't vibe as that kind of person.
And there could be someone behind the scenes telling her, like, don't listen to Steam, you know, because sometimes that can even happen where you have someone on your team who's like leading you astray.
She's had some dodgy information somewhere, and
that's what I'm saying. It's like if she seems to be pretty well, you know, well-meaning, and for the most part, that sounds like somebody behind the scenes has been like, hey, no, don't listen to Steam, no, they're gonna try and lead you astray, like that.
It's weird. Nonetheless,
it is weird.
The first actual subject on the agenda is regarding Xbox Game Pass and some upcoming changes. I believe the changes actually go into effect on the 12th of September. So there are going to be some opportunities for folks to capitalize before these changes go into place.
Almost like once every either once every month or once every other month we have something to say again about Game Pass.
I mean, it's one of the most prevalent things in the gaming industry, so it's not a surprise it comes up frequently.
Because okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I would...
Sorry, I was letting you finish. No.
I was just saying it's like it feels like routine at this point. That's like, oh no, what's new about Game Pass?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like
Peachy's gonna go off on subscription services.
I think that's mostly what I was saying. Because we always get into like some sort of discussion like about subscriptions.
Well, they're so prominent now. They are becoming the way of the industry, as it were. Even individual games have subscriptions now, so outside of like MMOs and things like that. But so on September 12th, a bunch of changes are coming into play. So first, you've got multiple tiers currently. You've got Game Pass for console, Game Pass for PC, and then you've got Ultimate, which comprises of the two plus a little few extras. They are getting rid of Game Pass for console, and they're keeping, oddly, well, I say oddly, I have theories behind it, but they're keeping Game Pass for PC. Game Pass for console essentially just becomes standard. And then with standard, you will no longer have day one access to new games.
Oh, that's scummy.
Now, I mentioned that this change kicks in on September 12th, which is a month before the release of Call of Duty. So
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That it's so transparent, dog.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So if you
Okay, so
go on.
even though I'm not in favor of this, I can see from a business standpoint why they're doing this. It's like, because when you have like a base charge for a subscription service like this, it makes sense to do like a tier. And I'm not siding with Xbox, by the way. I'm just saying, like, just from like, if you are looking at this like for like a financial perspective of like what's the most going to generate the most profits, having a tier-based system like this, where it's like if you're going to have something like what day one releases, it makes more sense to have a more like premium version to incentivize the consumer. But I'm not saying
shill. You absolute fucking shill.
Them doing it, but the thing is, if you were gonna do a change like this, you should have done it from the get-go, not later on, because now you look like an asshole.
Yeah, I think it's probably due to pressure from stakeholders, to be fair, because
that's probably what it is.
Blizzard just got bought, and they're going, yeah, we're going to do day one with one of the biggest games on the planet. And then shareholders, especially,
it's all money. I mean, because Microsoft is also, it's an American company. Like this is very like standard for like for companies like state like located here to do. So like, and I'm not like at all defending it, or like it's just kind of like it. I could see where the incentive is. I don't agree with it whatsoever. And if anything, like my stance on stuff with this is, if this is something you see as like more profitable for your company, you need to do this from the get-go, because no one likes it when you retroactively change things. You know, it's like Netflix has done it, like you have Hulu's done it with like, you know, the ad-free versions. So it's like it's irritating to the consumer, and all you're going to do is just rub people the wrong way.
100%.
If you had it from the get-go, that's entirely different, because you would have incentivized consumers then
no one
to
would
be
have
like,
bought it at that price from the get-go.
No, I understand that. I'm not. I understand that entirely. I'm just more like speaking on like how irresponsible and very, very like it's just a scummy thing to do, to retroactively change something when it's like, if this is the original, like that's it.
There is somewhat of a silver lining to it. So to be clear, when I say they're getting rid of Game Pass for console, if you have,
does that mean the
Game
console
Pass,
games will be available now?
So console games are still available. It's just the tier. So they had tiers previously. They've just rejigged the tiers. So Game Pass for console, you could only play Game Pass games specifically on console, and you couldn't play them on PC as well. And then likewise, if you had Game Pass for PC, you could play Game Pass on PC specifically, but not on console.
Just to clarify if I understand this correctly. So what they're doing is, by eliminating console, and even though they're retroactively they're reversing, you know, day one release on standard, instead you'll be able to utilize standard on console instead.
Yes.
Is that
correct? Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't like it still.
Yeah.
But I do. That is better than just saying no more console, and then you console version, and you don't get access to day one anymore. Then
so
that might soften the blow, but
you still have access to games on console. You just lose the day one access if you're just a console enjoyer. If you currently have Game Pass for console, you do retain that until it runs out.
So it would eliminate the need for two memberships, if so be it. Like if somebody, or two subscriptions, because wouldn't you need two subscriptions if you have an Xbox and a PC then?
So Ultimate already existed, and Ultimate gave you access to PC and console and some other extras.
Quick question though. I don't have a Series X. I haven't. My last Xbox was a 360. So like, so this doesn't impact me whatsoever. But with with that said, like, does that mean like when prior to this, were consumers able to utilize like multiple devices like that, or did they have to buy separate subscriptions?
So there were 3 tiers: console only, PC only,
Okay.
Ultimate.
And the Ultimate was for both.
Everything, yeah. So you got both PC and console and extras.
That's what I needed to know.
Expansions, deluxe editions, shit like that as well.
Okay.
So effectively what's happening for console users is they're losing the day one access. That's about it. And they've just renamed it to standard.
So, but so they could just do but if a console consumer decided that they wanted to they don't care about the day one release, they'll just do like,
they'll stay with standard.
They could do, again, I don't like any time when a company reverses something like that, like where you have been paying something the whole time and you're expected this kind of feature. Like I said, Hulu's a perfect example of having like releasing an ad-free version.
Yeah.
You know, it's like big because like before I didn't have ads. So I don't like it when companies do that, but it is a lot better than just being like, sorry, console users, you just got to go with Ultimate. At least they have now the option if they just like, if it doesn't bother them that much, they can just stick with standard.
And if you, like I said, had Game Pass and console stacked up, so technically something you could do, and you still have the opportunity to do this until September 12th.
Would a consumer be able to add another device on it? Like, so... Because now that lends the question, because like you said, Ultimate offers both console and it originally offered console and PC. So if a console user went back to standard, would standard have the option for them to add an additional device? So like if they have a PC and a console, or would it still be like? So I'm trying to like cover my bases here, so I fully understand what they're exactly trying to sell.
So they've still got 3 tiers. As of September, it will just be standard, which is essentially console, PC for Game Pass, and Ultimate, which is both. So if they want to get PC as well, they upgrade to Ultimate. If PC wants to get console as well, they upgrade to Ultimate, which is very much what it was before. The only difference technically now is the change in name, and console players, if they stick with standard, lose day one access.
So it doesn't change either way. It just, no matter what, it's like the end goal is they want everyone to go to Ultimate.
That's what they're driving people towards if you want the day one access, and if you do have PC and console, yes. Which is what it was before.
I don't know, because I'm so fickle with Game Pass. I because right now I'm not working. I don't have Game Pass, but like I wasn't using it again, and I got rid of it before I was laid off, so it doesn't matter. But like twice now I've gotten Day Pass for a reason, and then I get rid of Day Pass because I stopped, or Day Pass, Game Pass because I forget that I have it, and I go more with like, you know, I prefer Steam over the Steam model better.
Yeah, that's fair play.
So like, and like I said, the whole console aspect doesn't really impact me. So I didn't even know if whether or not there was like add on an additional, you know, I think well, I mean, I guess Ultimate would be like, you can use it on multiple devices.
Yeah. It's effectively the same as it was before. Just console players lose day one unless they get Ultimate. That's effectively the only thing that's actually changed. Man,
it sucks to be a console player.
Yeah, if you want to save as much money as possible, yes, it does.
I'm sorry, console players. I'm trying to be on your side and trying to understand. It's like, where are the loopholes? Let's try to pick at them.
Well, there is somewhat of a loophole still. So one of the things that they are also changing is you, in the future, can only buy up to 13 months of Game Pass in advance. So you can buy like a 6-month Game Pass card or whatever, things like that. Until September 12th. Didn't they have that
before?
No, so before it was unlimited. So until September 12th, it is still unlimited. So if you want to get as much value out of Game Pass as possible, you can still get the gift cards, you can get discount codes, you can stack them all up and get multiple years in advance. And that's what people have been doing. Some people have like 5 years worth of Game Pass already on their system. for a ridiculously cheap price because they've been stacking all these cards.
Honestly, like if I had a Series X, because I don't play consoles very often, like I play my PS5 only on occasion. Like if it's like an exclusive, I mean, having Game Pass for Series X is the only. If I had a Series X, would be the only time I would see a benefit in it. Unless, like, of course, you want to purchase instead of purchasing the games. I think that's what I get. That makes sense for them. I don't know, man.
Because people were basically stacking multiple years.
I like owning my games personally, but I mean, if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative, dog.
Yeah. Well, what they were doing is they were stacking all these gift cards. So in terms of how much they were actually getting, it was breaking it down.
I didn't know you could do that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was breaking it down to like £1 a month, basically, or $1 a month, because they stacked so many cards and so many discount codes and stuff like that. So that's why they're enacting this new rule that you can only do it up to 13 months now, because people were exploiting the system essentially. So that was one of the other changes. So
that's why they're doing this, is because of the exploits.
Yeah.
That's not why they're doing this. Do you want to know why they're doing this?
Money.
This is a classic scrape in the barrel, right? They've run out of customers. There are no more customers left for. I'm not going to say whether this is good or bad. Making video games disposable media. I'm not going to go into that. But the reason they're doing this is they have fully saturated the market of people who will get this. So what they've gone is, here's another tier, and this is how you get the tier 1. So they're trying to upsell everyone who got Game Pass for the day 1 stuff to pay more, while everyone else carries on paying the rest. So they can increase their profits on something that there is no longer any space. There is no longer any more customers to buy into this. They're done. They have completely saturated the market for everyone who ever wants to get this. People have tried it. People have let it lapse. It's not for them, or they're on it, right?
I think the thing is, done. Like Game Pass, like it doesn't offer enough. Like, so if you are all about Game Pass, if that's like your shit, I could see that where you can find the benefit and whatnot. But like, as I've already established, like, just because I can only speak for myself, I don't want to speak for other people. But when it comes to Game Pass, I've pretty much come to the, I've landed on like, it's not exactly for me. It's beneficial when it's convenient. But as it is, I don't feel that it's not like, so like because with subscriptions, especially with the way the economy is and everything like that, you have to be so choosy with what you find value in. Mm-hmm. And frankly, Game Pass is not a value to me. Like even though there are like the day 1 releases, if I've already, I'm pretty clear that with myself, like if I like a game, if I want a game bad enough, I'll just buy it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to rent it. I'm going to buy it. And I want to buy it on Steam because that's where like I will play it all the time. And I have like, if I'm not super crazy about achievements, but I know some people can be, and they want to have their achievements all in one place. Because when you have them all split up, you don't get your digital medals. Like you don't look as impressive or whatever. I don't know. But still, at the end of the day, like I don't personally find Game Pass has as much value as just buying the game, what games I want outright. And like the only time I've really ever used Game Pass would be like for the day 1 release. And like it's a game I'm not sure that I wanted in the first place. So I would go test it out. And then, but I always am one of those people who like, I'll buy the game if I like it enough. So it gives me like that Blockbuster-esque GameFly experience where it's like, try it before you buy. Mm-hmm. And it's unlike using a demo, because sometimes a demo doesn't really represent the final release. Yeah. So utilizing Game Pass can be valuable in that aspect if you want to do that. But I don't find like that I wouldn't want to spend extra money to get Ultimate, because actually what this choice does, removing day 1, because if you standard on PC, does it remove day 1 as well?
No, so PC isn't changing.
Oh.
PC for Game Pass remains as PC for Game Pass, which is something I want to...
That's so weird. That's such a weird choice.
So that's something I want to, not to use a corporate term, but something I want to circle back to. This is such a confusing
bit of news, because I'm trying to like have an opinion, and then it's like, you kind of slide in like, no, it's still PC. And it's like not registering in my head, because like, I feel like, why would you have different policy or different rules for the same plan, but it all depends on what platform you're utilizing. That's really confusing.
Yeah, so I'm going to circle back to that in a moment, because there is something that you said that I think ties into that. But to bounce off...
fire lit under my ass for this one.
No, you're good, you're good. To just bounce off a Peachy statement, I think, obviously, we know for a fact that Game Pass has plateaued. It's still making billions of pounds or dollars, whatever. It hasn't grown. It hasn't shrunk really either. It's just plateaued. I think...
Which is a really good thing for your product to be, by the way, giant corporations.
Yeah, making money is still good, 100%. But the problem is, of course, it's not growing, and that's what shareholders and stakeholders want. They want it to be perpetually growing. We ultimately do not know if they have, in fact, saturated the market. They've saturated the market with their current product. But this product is going to change in, presumably, or potentially, in a very big way when COD is part of it. Because the COD player base is predominantly console gamers, your dad gamers, your normies, whatever terminology you want to use. And they are a huge part of the market. Now, it could be that it flops. It could be that people get it for COD, play the campaign, maybe play multiplayer, maybe they only do Warzone or the equivalent of whenever the new COD comes out, which I believe is going to be free to play, and then that's it. Or it might actually get these normie gamers onto Game Pass in a bigger capacity, and then they start obviously looking at the other games in the library and things like that. And that, I think, is what Xbox specifically are gaming on, pun intended, that this new audience does come in with the Call of Duty players, because they are a huge player base, like gargantuan. Because we, again, just to reiterate, we're talking about one of the biggest games in the world here that wasn't previously on Game Pass, and suddenly it is, which is why a lot of people were skeptical it was going to be a day one thing on Game Pass at all. And then when it got announced, they were like, oh shit. But then off the back of that, they were like, oh, well, that's why all this stuff is changing, because otherwise the shareholders are like, yo, why aren't we getting all this money from this golden goose kind of thing? So, there's that aspect to put into it. But to go back to your point, Paul, you mentioned that if PC isn't changing, and I mentioned it also previously at the beginning, like, why is that? And I think there's a couple of reasons.
Yeah. I think that part just... I didn't register, like, maybe I think you did say it and I just didn't hear that part. I just heard that they're removing it, and by merging PC with or console with PC, it's just such an odd choice. Like, why would you take, because it feels like if you were a console gamer, like if you only had an Xbox, you don't have a PC, or like maybe you have kids and they, so they don't have their own personal gaming PC, so you just have a console for them. It just feels like a weird choice, like almost like in a way you're punishing people for having the console.
Well, it's a slightly different product now because Xbox Live is in it now, right? You're getting it on console.
I believe so. I haven't used the console version in forever.
Yeah, me neither. I don't, like I said, I still have a 360, and that's the last Xbox I've owned, and it's primarily because like I just prefer PC gaming. Yeah. So like, and most Xbox games are available on PC. So like realistically, it's not like even the discussion of we've had a discussion like maybe we should pick up an Xbox one day, and it's like every time we veto it, going like no, it's like no value to it.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Waste money.
Just to reiterate the structure. So prior to September, 3 tiers: console, PC, Ultimate, which encompasses the first two. The new structure: Standard, so console renamed, without day one. PC, unchanged. Ultimate, unchanged. So they've just renamed console and removed day one. That's fundamentally the only change. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why hasn't PC been changed? And I think there's two reasons. I think Game Pass primarily is used by console gamers. I don't know the stats, but I have a feeling it is overwhelming majority are console gamers.
I think, because I think the only few people I know with Xbox who own Series X or
probably streamers.
What is the current Xbox? It's Series X, right?
Yeah, Series X and Series S.
Okay, but anyway,
which is the most powerful one?
X.
X, not
Okay.
S.
Yeah.
So anyway, but either way, the only people I know who own Xboxes, I think all of them exclusively use Game Pass, which I can see why. Like, because that's why I would say, like, if I owned an Xbox, especially with these days, with like, having, because I have having PS5, you have Steam and stuff like that. I would just rather purchase my games for PC.
Yeah.
And then, any game that I might want to play on the Xbox, just utilize Game Pass, because at that point, it's because unlike with PS5, where like you have some PS5 exclusives that maybe eventually will end up on Steam eventually, because I know like Sony's trying to do that. I don't know how that's going still, but they're navigating that trajectory. But the only thing is like,
being very kind to what Sony's doing on PC.
I'm being gracious today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice today. I'm very tired. So anyway, but like, but as like, so the way it would make sense is like, if I'm going to buy a game, if I want to play a game exclusively for PS5, I'm just going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise for Steam, I'm just going to buy it. But if it's an Xbox game, or it's a game on Xbox, with the exception of very few, all of them are available on PC. So it doesn't make sense, like economic sense, for me to purchase a game twice or a game that's available on PC on the console. So having a console, it just makes fiscal sense to just utilize Game Pass.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you are for lack of a better word, traditional console gamer, it's incredibly unlikely you have a gaming PC to begin with. You're probably someone who has your Xbox in the lounge, and your kids are around. You're a dad gamer or a mom gamer, whatever wordage. So that's going to very likely be the largest piece of the pie. So it makes sense that they go, okay, well, we can, remove the day one, and that will push people to get Ultimate. That makes sense. They're
upselling. They want to upsell.
Yeah, 100%. That's the upsell. The reason I don't think they're doing it on PC is not only because the PC market are smaller, but they're also angrier and usually a lot more informed, as we've witnessed with Helldivers, the Sony stuff that's been going on with the PSN accounts.
We're terminally online. We can't help but be informed at this point.
Yeah.
Also, we have shit like Steam sales, GOG, Humble Bundles.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So
we have it a lot better when we're talking about purchasing games.
Yeah.
A lot better.
100%. So there's a more of a competitive edge for gamers on PC than there is on console. But as you were saying, if you are a console gamer, it makes sense to have Ultimate, make a Game Pass, because it's going to be, I think the Ultimate version is something like $15 for it's $20 for Ultimate. For the standard one, I think it's $12, $15, something to that effect. So you're getting unlimited games for however long you have that on your console, as opposed to spending 60, 70, etc.
So someone just broke it down for me. So it says Game Pass is now $16.99. That includes Live, which is $60 a month, or $60 or $5 a month, which comes with EA Play for $5 a month. So it's essentially only $7 a month for Xbox games. This is obviously exclusively for console. And then I guess they do have access to the PC version too, so they can still get games on PC. So I guess that answers my question earlier.
So 3 versions. 3 versions. The old system.
Oh, the new changes.
Yeah. So the only thing that is changing is that standard was console. That's been renamed, and they have day ones removed. That's it. That's the only change, effectively. That's the only change. Fundamentally, that is the only thing that's changing. Everything they had with the console one before is exactly the same. It's just called standard now, and they've removed day one.
I don't know why this is so confusing for me.
It's cool. It's cool.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone who's listening.
No.
Like, you're getting frustrated with me. I'm trying to whenever things like this happen, like with changes, like policy changes and stuff, I really do try to fully understand and grasp I don't want to I want to know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, no, I completely understand.
And especially when it sounds like when you make a lot of, this is why it's so infuriating when companies do this, is they'll make these policy changes, and as a consumer, granted, I have to, it is the fact that I don't have a console, so this doesn't impact me whatsoever. So that's something that does fully like, you know, like I need to keep that in mind. So I ask all these questions because I want to personally understand. So that way all this information is being relayed properly to whoever's listening, if they're as confused as I am.
No, 100%. The easiest way to break it down is just think of it as this.
My mom said there's no stupid questions.
Console are losing day one. That's it. That's the easiest way to think about it.
Okay.
That's literally the change. They have also hiked up the price a little bit. And it's different amounts depending on the tier as well. So like Game Pass goes up by like $2 or £2 in the UK. Game Pass for PC, for example, whereas Ultimate goes up by like $3 or $4 in comparison, for example. So like Game Pass Ultimate is like $20 now, whereas before I believe it was $16.99. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the price. It's gone up. So a lot of people are also upset at the price going up.
Right. The price has gone up for a worse product as well, because you don't get day one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true for the standard. That is true. For Ultimate,
but again,
Ultimate's the same.
This is where people need to find if they find value in day one. So it's only going up if that's something you like, the whole reason why you a Game Pass, then like it's going to like and fully within their right of being upset. But if you're a player like, you know, because I know some people there's probably consumers who use Game Pass and they're not on to, like, how do they explain when what would traditionally have been day one releases when they would actually be available to those consumers?
I haven't actually looked into that, and I imagine it will probably vary from game to game. So like for COD, it probably won't be for some time.
Usually you have like a ballpark figure, like, you know, maybe a week after. And if it's like, let's say like hypothetically, like it's a week that they have to wait. And if there's somebody who has like, you know, extensive work schedule, like, you know, and they're not going to be home, like it's not really all that important to feel upgrade to have the day one release, unless there's a game that you're so dead set, you're like, you're a COD boy and you go in there and you're like, I got to play my COD. But
they're probably buying it though. Like, is the FOMO tax really going to make that line go up?
That's another thing too. Is I feel like a lot. That's where I keep, falling back. Like, if it's something that you like enough, you're gonna buy it.
Oh, yeah. That's why they're doing it.
With something like COD, though, that is a disposable game. Every year there is a new game every single year, right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to keep up with them.
I've played COD now and then when a new one comes out, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll play this. Like now and then I'll play it, but are you playing old CODs? Is anyone playing old CODs on console?
So it has varied.
Still up even.
It has varied from game to game. Some have been more successful and had more longevity than others.
Like 4 and Black Ops 2.
I believe Black Ops 2. Yeah, the Black Ops ones tended to generally do better, and it you can often see it varies by studio as well, because they move the game from studio to studio, which is
and they're two studios.
I think
working in tandem for each year.
I think I'm not sure currently, because I don't pay too much attention to COD. Sometimes I'll look at it and be like, oh yeah, the campaign looks cool, and I'll give it a go. But I haven't played since the space one, basically, with Kit Harington and Connor. Connor McGregor, the boxer, MFA fire.
I didn't play that one. That one actually looked interesting to me, but I still didn't play it.
Yeah, the campaign was good, and that's why people are hoping the campaign for this one's going to be good, because last year's was incredibly short, and then of course Chris Judge took the piss out of it on the Game Awards. But yeah, so like if you're a console gamer, you're probably going to fork up the money for Ultimate, and yeah, FOMO works at the end of the day. That's why we keep seeing it in games and cosmetic stores, cash shops, things like that.
It's entirely orchestrated around the COD release.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I'm disappointed but not surprised.
Yeah, 100%. I think.
How's that? That's a good summary of how I feel. It's like I could see where there's like, they can frame this where it's like there are different benefits to like soften the blow, but like regardless, like anytime you're increasing the price for something, asking more money, especially in this day and age where like people have to pick and choose what's valuable to them.
Not just increasing the price, shrinkflation as well, reducing the value. And
if there's if there's a Game Pass or not Game Pass, Xbox Live, again, like that doesn't impact like affect me whatsoever.
You need Xbox Live, right, to play online on a console? Am I right?
Console.
For some games.
So if they're bundling
games.
if they're bundling Xbox Live in there, and then from what I understand, I don't know. Like I you know, you have yes, there's shrinkflation to be expected, and yes, there's, you know, inflation. And the way this might be a hard sell for people, but like I don't think it's gonna cause that much of an uproar, probably.
Max a desperation.
Because it's like all these subscription-based companies are doing this right now.
Yeah, and that's true. And I think for most people, you know, the sort of people who don't necessarily watch Twitch, who aren't online forums and things like that, and keeping up with gamer Twitter and stuff like that, most of them are just going to be like, oh, there's been a price increase, oh, all right, kind of thing, and they'll just get on with it. You know, mobile gaming is massive.
And at the end of the day, those are the consumers that when companies do shit like this, that they bank on, because there are always going to be the small majority that are going to be more informed and absolutely have a right to be upset. But realistically, like speaking from my own personal experience, like whenever I've been like really busy in my life and I've been, you know, I have the money, like, you know, I'm really like hurting for money at that point. And you're not really able to keep up with like what's going on the news or like or the gaming industry news or whatever the fuck. And like if say like, you know, when like Netflix increased their price, because I watch Netflix so often, it's like, oh, it's $3 more, fuck it. Like those people, like, they don't care enough to let this impact their day so much. It's usually the people who are more connected chronically online and like probably, you know, utilizing these services. Like
informed, let's say, like it is, people who are informed understand.
Well, that's why I said that there is it's small. I said there's a small majority
ripped off.
Of course, and I said that's what I just said. I said the small majority who are informed are the ones who are.
Sorry,
I'm not going to go.
He's not going to go. To be clear, the people who are informed are a minority. They're 100%. Sorry, because you said small majority, and it's like they're a minority.
They're not concerned about the small minority. They're not concerned about that small minority that's informed. They know that, you know, you're. And the thing is in cases like this, people who are informed, a lot of times they will kick their feet a lot with this, and they will make a stink about it. Mm-hmm. But they're not. Even if those people, like, let's say, like, I don't know, like, a few thousand people just go like, fuck this, you know, they're still like, yeah, but we're still making money off these people.
Yeah, they don't know. Like, they don't care. Multiple magnitudes of people who don't give a shit. Yeah. And that's the industry as a whole when it comes to
that's
free-to-play models, live service models. Again, mobile gaming, it makes infinitely more money compared to PC and console gaming. And that's riddled with anti-consumer shit. And that's because the majority, your dad gamers, your regular gamers, your normies, etc., they just don't know, and they're just like, at this point, they've been trained into it.
There's also people who only have Xbox game. They only have Game Pass for their kids.
Yeah, and
the kids aren't going to tell their parents.
Yeah, they're probably not
even
paying
attention to it. They probably don't even pay attention. Yeah,
they
probably don't even know.
100%.
So I mean, like I said, this is a whole like disappointing, not surprised thing. You know, coming from Microsoft, I don't see this like really. I mean, it's going to cause an uproar because of COD coming out, but like it's not. I kind of have like such an it's like, yeah, this is what
if you just play COD though, because there are a lot of people who just play COD. They buy the COD, they might pick up the odd game here and there, but like COD, they go in, they go home from work, they play multiplayer, they get up, they go to work, they come home, they play multiplayer, right? So those people aren't going to uproar because they're going to buy the game anyway, right?
So with Ultimate,
but maybe they'll be tempted into this. They haven't been ripped off. The people they're aiming at haven't been ripped off, so they're not going to kick up an uproar. This is kind of like, if we just do this, no one will notice.
I think they knew people were going to notice, but the people that noticed are the vocal minority.
The people who noticed aren't doing this shit anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, even like the two, like, us talking about like, and I've already got like, I got my own set of issues with it, because I said anytime like a company like reverses a feature, it always upsets me because it just comes off just so underhanded and insidious. but like it doesn't even affect me in any way because I don't have Game Pass. So it's like, yeah, I'm being vocal and like,
right to be vocal.
rabble, but like it doesn't. It's not. They're not concerned with that because a lot of times the people who are more vocal about this kind of behavior, they might not even be like, subscribe to it anyway. Well, pointing out the flaws is important though.
Yes, 100%, because obviously,
yeah, like I'm not saying there's no point in saying it though, because it's just, as long as pointing out that this is not like, it is in fact like pretty like uncool and underhanded, doesn't take that away that they're
an informed purchase is a good purchase.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree.
Would you buy anything on Amazon without maybe checking a few reviews, Googling it or something like that?
Yeah, 100%.
Scrolling down on the page.
Yeah.
It's good to be informed about this stuff.
Absolutely. I think everyone should be informed. And I think it's important to have these discussions about whether like fully understanding, like that's why like I'm asking all these questions, because it's like breaking down like everything and fully understanding. And even if I miss a couple of things, I ask maybe repeat the question. Whatever, at least like the fact is you want to know all of the information before, like, because if let's say because I've already twice gotten Game Pass and gotten rid of it. Let's say I want to decide, like, I don't know, I decided to walk back that, like, maybe there's a game coming out. It's like, let's check out Game Pass again. I'm not sure. Or like, because Game Pass, some of the ways they get you in is it'll be like, it's only $1 this month. For your first month, you're like, ooh, $1?
Yeah, that dollar, that's value to rent a couple of games for a month. That's
honestly, that's how they got me the first time, was like,
that's how they got me for 4 months, because I was like, oh, okay, this was good. I'll do it the next one. Then I forgot to cancel it for 2 months.
Yeah, every time I've gotten rid of it was because I forgot I had it.
Kind of is, isn't it?
Every time I've gotten rid of it is because I forgot I had it. I wasn't using it for a few months, and I'm like, oh, this is something I don't need to be paying for anymore. But every time they've gotten me is like, hey, if you come back to Game Pass, it'll be $1.
Yeah, and that is by design. They do subscriptions are a thing because they rely on people forgetting about them.
The sucker got suckered sometimes. It's fine.
And the amount of clicks you got to do to cancel your subscriction, and the screen's like, are you sure? Oh, what about this? That
they also make it so difficult to cancel.
Adobe, fuck you, Adobe.
I fucking hate that shit. It's so, when they make you jump through hoops to try to cancel something, you're like, oh my God, just don't give me my money.
Yeah, somebody count how many screens you have to go through to cancel Game Pass. I don't recall Game Pass being that bad. I think it was click and then are you sure?
Yeah.
Which is fine.
No. Like, I mean, asking the multiple questions, because sometimes, and also because I don't think.
Is Adobe 7 questions before you can finally cancel?
I think it varies from region.
I know there's some. I don't know if it was Game Pass.
Suing them, but they're not being sued in the EU.
I know, for example, like, for like Sirius XM, I know it's not totally like not related, but like my husband canceled Sirius XM because he wasn't using it, and the amount of times they'll just be like, we'll give you like 3 months for free, come back, please don't leave, God damn it. Like, they'll do shit. Like, there are companies who do that too. When they're asking that, it's like, what if we throw on 10% off? How about that? So, that 10% sounds really
That's
nice.
how I got my Adobe subscription down so low, is because I was like, no. And then they'll be offering something stupid that I know they're probably losing out on. I'm like, yes.
So for Adobe, I don't think it's as difficult to cancel in the Eurozone. I think there's literal dark patterns in the US and stuff like that, and that's why two government agencies in the US are going for them. I can't remember what the departments are called, but it's like government agencies are going after Adobe. And the directors, interestingly, they're like, we're not just coming for the company, we're actually going to come for the people who facilitated it, which is very, very interesting. But that's another.
Dude, I'm so
subject.
salty about Adobe. Like, I haven't paid for it in a while because my last job paid for it for me. So it was kind of nice to be like not have to worry about it. But like, I remember years ago when I was really into like getting into like photography and like learning how to do photo editing and stuff. And even though like Adobe was always just like the most expensive, it was like the cream of the crop for like photo editing. And I always use older versions because like, you're fine. There's usually not that new of it, not as much new innovation to warrant spending, like, because remember, like, Adobe would be like $500 sometimes. It was nuts how expensive for Photoshop.
It has AI fill now.
Oh my god! AI?
It has art theft built in.
Wow! Love it. It's exactly what I've always wanted. But like, but like, it's crazy to me because like when I got this job, or that last job, and like they offered, because I started working there like 6 years ago, and they were like, oh yeah, you get Creative Suite, and I was like, oh hell yeah, dude, I can have like all the new programs, and it's like, dude, but you don't own them.
Yeah, I hated it.
So annoying.
What I used to do is I would set a schedule in my calendar, so whenever the discounted version would run out, I would go to cancel, and they would offer me the discount again. It would always be like 50% or 3 months free and stuff like that. I used to do it every time, had it on schedule.
I got the student price for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm not going to do it this time. And they're like, well, what if it's the same price again? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Oh, I suppose. I wasn't going to, but
yeah, 100%. But
if they're gonna try every trick in the book to get as much money out of us as possible, I'm gonna use every trick in my book to get it as cheap as possible.
My name's Bryan the Pirate.
So good luck with creative cloud, Bryan.
I'm not going to remark on anything any further with regards to Adobe, but to summarize the Xbox discussion, then the prices are going up slightly, depending on depending on the tier that you're going for. Day one is being removed from the standard, aka console only version, and COD is coming out about a month after the prices and these policies change. If you have Xbox for console gift cards, discount codes, etc., use them now, because you retain Xbox or Game Pass for console until that runs out. So if you want the cheaper stuff with the day one still included, spend that shit now. Or even maybe even buy some if you're a console gamer and you just want to like have
just give them more money. They deserve it.
Well, I mean, if it's something you're going to benefit from, you're going to do it anyway. So if you're going to do it, then you may as well get it at the cheapest amount.
Use anyway, and it's going to benefit you financially, then go for it.
Yeah.
Now this is just a bit of a wild guess, but is this a psyop?
How do you mean?
Are Valve being sued so people aren't paying attention to this nonsense that's happening right now with Xbox?
Oh,
I'm just asking questions.
It's an insider job. It's an inside job, baby.
It could be.
Bank accounts are a psyop.
And it comes full circle back to Valve.
It's always Valve. Damn it, Gaben.
It's always Valve. God damn it, Sting.
Also, for Adobe alternatives, DaVinci Resolve is amazing and basically has After Effects included in it, and it's free. Get that, and Affinity Photo, which is $75, and you keep it, and it has basically everything that Adobe does. Just throwing those out there. We're going to jump to a break for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Go get yourselves a drink, a snack, a pee, look out a window for a wee bit to rest your eyes.
Go have a pee.
Go have a pee. Grab your pee by the hands.
Don't grab the pee. Stop grabbing the pee.
Throw it to people.
You need a vessel at best.
See how much pee you can catch in your hands.
Call it the Holy Grail.
Game.
Yes, exactly. And then weigh yourself before and after you poo. We'll be right back. Mics will be hot. Grab all the poo.
Stop it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of episode 35 of the Fully Rendered Podcast. We have some more things to talk about, but let's talk about specific games. We'll jump to Peachy first. Peachy.
I'd like to point out, Bryan, that you wrote a game on there that I haven't been playing.
Did I?
But I can change that with a different game that I have actually been playing a lot that I forgot to mention when we were chatting on stream.
What was the game?
Angry Foot. I played the demo for that like 2 years ago on Steam Next Fest.
I played the demo for that too. I was interested in it, but I don't know if I'm gonna get it.
In that case, Still Wakes the Deep.
Still Wakes the Deep. Oh,
I snuck in on Peachy's stream when he was playing that because I was interested in that game. So I'm curious.
Before I get into it, there are disclaimers. They gave me a key. Also, a friend of mine that I was playing Warhammer with for 3 days, also worked. He works at the Chinese company. So, no, the Chinese room.
Right.
The company, Jesus Christ. English is difficult if you're an idiot. So that out of the way. Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, I was watching you play. I went to go check, like you were streaming one time and I was like, I forgot what I was doing. I was getting ready for my own. And I'm like, oh dude, that was the game I wanted. So It looks really sick.
It's very short. Let me actually. I completed it. There's no extra replayability or anything like that. Hang on.
There's an achievement if you play it in Gaelic mode as well, but that's only for subtitles.
Oh yeah, they do have the Gaelic mode, but there's no extra. I don't think. Where the hell did it still? Sorry, I want to tell you how long the game is because it is short and that is important for a lot of people.
5-6 hours.
I've got 5.5 hours, so yeah, split the difference.
How much does it retail for? May I ask?
On Steam, it is currently 30 quid. So half
for
a
5-hour
of a
experience.
AAA title.
So probably about $35.
Okay.
It is a banger, and for me, it kind of shouldn't be. It is very linear. The only bugs that I've seen people talk about are bugs that are people who are trying to explore and look for new stuff. Very early on, I could tell the game was like, go here, do this. Like, very early on, my brain went, okay, there's no extra stuff. We just go. I did look in a few things, but we just go now because the game has told me in no uncertain terms, there is no point. Just do as you're told. And the game is much better for that. It is... there's gameplay. It's mostly the sneaky, get away from the monster kind of stuff. There are a few puzzles. Nothing too crazy. Not trying to work out any Sudoku or nothing like that. But where this game shines, apart from the visuals, which are very nice, all the art style, the designs, the monster designs are all very good. Where this game shines is the characters. Oh my God. It is one of the best acted. Now, I don't give a shit about story, right? But this is one of the best acted games I have ever played. Ever. Every character feels like a person, and it lends this air of believability to this absolutely insane Cthulhu-esque body horror video game. I know some stuff which I can't talk about, but I do know that the first script of this wanted because it's mostly Scottish people, but there are a bunch of regional dialects going on there, but it's mostly Scottish. They wanted it to have like all the, like Scottish TikTok, how people type, how they talk and stuff, and all those words and stuff. They really wanted that. The writer wasn't Scottish, but they did try to put that in. When it got into the hands of the actors, they were like, this doesn't really make any sense. So they did another pass with another script. I don't know how many were given, but I know the final one that was sent gave a lot more room for the actors to just not like ad-lib, but just make it real. This is what you got to say. Make this make sense kind of deal. And it shows. Every character is a bang. You might meet a character for like 3 minutes, but you believe that they are a real person, that you actually care what happens to them. There's a character you meet for half a second and then they just get and then monstered all over the place. And I'm like, oh shit, that dude, what was his name? Can't remember, but he seems so real.
Yeah.
It's a banger. It's a very short experience. I mean, at 30 quid, I think that's fine for a brand new game. It looks great. The gameplay is fun enough. It's nothing groundbreaking. The story is batshit insane Cthulhu nonsense, but it just vibes so well, and it hinges on this script and this cast. And I think the cast pushed that. The rest of it, which is all perfectly well done, there's nothing bad. It just pushes it to make it something so much better, and I highly recommend it. Because of this as well, the scary bits are a bit more scary because you're like invested in these characters. But it is very linear. You can't do anything extra. You can't change the story. Your choices do not matter like in every other video game, even the ones that say they do. You just go down the line. It's a haunted house you walk through. You have a very good time, and I fully recommend it. It's good. Okay. It's really.
It looks really great. It's on my list of horror games I want to play at when I get back to horror. Because like I love like I personally have a deep fear of dark water, and when I saw you go, you were going through a flooded area. I'm like, oh,
the water stuff even freaked me out, and I don't have that kind of.
I hate water, dude. I can't see my feet. I'm not going in. That's my rule. So like it looks great. Like I like. We don't see too much with like water, like boats. It's a boat or a submarine?
No, it's an oil rig.
It's an oil rig. Yeah. Oh, they say it actually like on the Steam page, and I just like never.
It's in the North Sea, just like Bryan said. That's why it's everyone's Scottish. Yeah. There are some other regional accents in there. There is a really good joke about Barnsley. There's a guy, and he says, "Yeah, but you're a Barnsley fan." But the guy saying the line was actually a Barnsley fan, and he's taking the piss out of Barnsley, and I just thought that was cute.
Yeah, and that's...
I really enjoyed this story game.
I'm glad. That's a lot coming from you.
Yeah, I think that's something to take into consideration as well. So it's an oil rig in the North Sea, so basically within Scottish waters, and they used specifically Scottish actors to do the Scottish accents and things like that. And they
as
used
far as
a
I know,
lot of...
all the Scottish characters were played by Scottish actors.
Yeah, I was actually double checking while you were talking, and yeah, they are 100%. And I think it went down really, really well with Scots that have been playing it, and they're like, oh wow, this is actually, like you were saying, really well acted, and they were using colloquialisms correctly and things like that, and speaking Scots correctly and stuff like that. I watched Catlink play it, and she did the Gaelic playthrough just to get the achievements. And she blasted through it in like 2-3 hours after the initial playthrough. If you're a wee bit childish, you'll probably quite enjoy the subtitles, because forward in Gaelic is come. So it just constantly says "come" on the front of the screen when it tells you like the menus and stuff like that.
There are twinks everywhere that can't get through this game before they pass out.
Yeah, basically. There's some other words, like there's the obviously in relation to Gaelic, it's not a slur, but the F slur is technically in there as well, which I believe is like exit and stuff like that. So do bear that in mind. But obviously in Gaelic, it's not a slur; it's just the word. But yes, if you're a little bit childish and you just want to come all the time. just play the Gaelic version. Just play the Gaelic version.
Stop.
I have a while you're talking, I have a joke to write in the Discord.
Okay. So
we carry on.
Pulp, you said you're interested in playing this. Now that you've heard Peachy speak about it, are you gonna put the money down?
So hearing that the story is actually pretty engaging, that does help, because like there are times like when I played horror games where like the story is what holds it back, and if I don't care about who I'm playing as, or like who's in the game, that does like impact, like it can take away from the fear factor, because you're like, well, I don't care if this motherfucker dies. So that's good to hear, and that says a lot, guys, him saying that, because
I agree.
He is not the story man.
Yes, to show some of the underwater bit here. There's actually some Peachy
get out of here.
There's actually like quite a big segment where it's underwater. But I enjoyed watching it. It's not something that I would personally play. I'm always the sort of person who enjoys watching other people play horror games.
Yeah,
I just don't like being tense on stream all the time. Horror games.
So I went into Peachy's chat for a bit, but I did leave because I decided that I think I might pick it up eventually. So I don't want to like. I don't like watching gameplay of horror games if I'm planning on playing them, because it's like I don't want to, because then it takes away the experience, the fear.
Yeah.
100%. So I came in, dropped a little Dumb and Dumber emote for him, and then bowed out. But it looked great from what I saw, and he was speaking pretty highly of it. So, and I'm glad hearing that. But this part that you're showing right here, that's a big old no.
That's a big old nope.
Yeah, that's a big huge nope to me, because like I love swim. Like no water, no dark water. If I can't see in front of me, if I can't see my feet, hell
multiple times. Like the atmosphere is really good, and like I said, you're invested because you believe these people exist. It got me. Yeah. I did actually say this on stream. I don't think a game has unnerved me and made me feel scared how I like to play video games since Alien Isolation.
It's that's a compliment, because that's such a good horror game.
That is probably the biggest compliment I can give a horror game.
I think though, because you said this is short, and like I think the one thing with horror games that even though like, because knowing the price tag, like I don't mind paying more for like a good game. If it's a good game, it's a good experience, and it's worth the experience, it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's a short experience.
I think it's priced for what it is.
Yeah. No, that's why I asked, is because you said it was short, and so it's kind of good to like for referencing, but also with horror games like this, because like, you know, if anything, the only criticism I ever had for Alien Isolation was how drawn out it can get towards the end.
The end does feel a bit padded.
Yeah,
it doesn't detract too much.
They took out like a couple chapters and then like just because the ending was so solid that you know, it's like it would have been like perfect. And
this does not outstay its welcome.
Yeah, that's good. That I like
the
that.
The end was a little quick, maybe. I could have maybe gone a little bit longer on the ending part, but they were like, "Here you go. We have blown our load. It is time to give the final sentence."
Apparently, according to you, the game comes a lot. Oh no,
that was Bryan. Okay,
that was Bryan. I just as soon as I
corrected
myself,
a lot if you're playing in Gaelic.
If you're playing in Gaelic,
and only if you're playing Gaelic, yes.
Gaelic. Okay. So no, that's
Gaelic.
Cool. I get it.
Did you want to talk about Shift 87? Was it?
Yes. Oh, Shift 87. What a cool game. Interesting. You know those loop games where you need to? It's usually a horror kind of vibe, and there was that one where you're walking through those like an underground tunnel, like a metro underground tunnel, and you need to pay attention to what's around you and notice, and if something's weird, you need to go back or something. Otherwise, the loop just restarts or you die or whatever. Right. It was that. Basically, it's a spot the difference, but with a real uncomfortable vibe, which I kind of dug.
And a tiny child.
Huh?
I just saw a tiny child flash up on the screen.
A tiny child.
Tiny child. Tiny child.
So yeah, that one got me. I did get that one. There are multiple different. So in the demo I played, I assume they're going to release a demo with the game just to give you a vibe of what it's about. You go through like 6 times. You go through everything's like how it is, and you look at stuff and pay attention. And then the next time you go through, you got to try and find things, anomalies they're called. And you've got to like find them, and some can be really subtle, and other things can be batshit insane. There were 3 levels.
Like that Exit 8 game.
Yes, no, it is that genre. I don't know what that genre is called.
Yeah, I don't know either, because that's I don't know if this one is the same, but they're like walking simulators kind of.
It's a walking sim.
Okay,
but it's got this loop thing that you need to do something in order to progress to the next thing, and this one you just scan the anomaly. I did a playthrough, and I mostly got all of them. I think I messed up once or twice, and I got maybe a few more anomalies than if I just got it right the whole time. And I found 50 in the demo, 15 anomalies, and at the end it says 15 out of 66. So there are a lot of random. They've made a bunch of different stuff. So it's not going to be the same playthrough every time. So it would be fun to replay. I think it'd be fun to replay the demo, but I got given an early look. It's just a demo, basically. It's not a vertical slice. I think it's just the start of the game.
Yeah.
A single shift, and I didn't play it again. I'm like, okay, if this does come out in a demo, I want other people to try it and maybe get different ones. So I only played it for maybe an hour or 2 tops.
Okay.
It was just a really interesting thing, and the things that were different could go from subtle, like there was like a notepad. You know where you sign in when you go into a company? It was that, and I looked, and there was like somebody had written that not on the pad but on the desk, and I'm like, that's an anomaly, and I was right. So they can be really subtle like that, and then other times I walked past a room and everything was fucking floating.
Right.
Like
that one's a little less subtle.
Yeah, that wasn't subtle. Like you could probably play that game if you get certain roles. You play that game and it could be the most subtle thing you've ever played, or adversely the most insane fucking. Well, that was easy. That's definitely an anomaly.
It'll be interesting to see the reviews afterwards as well, because some of my RNG, all the easy stuff, and be like, this game was a pish kind of thing, and then another person's like, I took 12 hours to get through one shift. What are you talking about, kind of thing? It sounds interesting.
There can also be nothing wrong as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then you end up paranoid and thinking that you're doing it wrong and not finding it.
Yeah, am I missing something?
Wasn't.
I need looking longer. If you're getting none, you're probably spending longer on the game because you're like, there must be something.
Right.
There are jump scares in it, but they're not your classic jump scares. They don't just boo in the screen and loud noise. It's kind of like you jump scare yourself because you're not expecting a thing, and it's not like a loud noise and they just throw something in the face. It just happens in front of you and you caused it by basically walking. I thought it was really cool, and I'd like to see this finish, and I'll probably pick it up and give it a full playthrough on stream.
Okay, sounds good. I'll have to jump in on that when you do. Pulp, you've been playing
present.
Once Human.
I have.
What do we think?
I played the closed beta and the demo, so this is the full release. And right now I'm going through like the same stuff I already went through, and now I'm able to actually look through and find go about trying to go through the story. I like it. I'm not really into MMOs, but I have a lot of friends right now who are playing it, so it's been kind of great to go and join up together. One of the things I really like about it is I really like the creature designs. There's a lot of very it kind of reminds me almost like a horror as Studio Ghibli aesthetic, and it is free to play. There is a battle pass, but it's free to play, and so that obviously offers a lot of incentive. And if you're really I'm only playing on the PvE server, so I don't know what the experience is on PvP. I'm not really into PvP personally, but I do there's really intuitive base building, and for somebody who's played a lot of whenever I played survival games with friends, I'm usually the one who I'm gonna go look for shit or collect materials, not so much as interested in the building aspect, because let's be real, I'm not very good. I'm just my attention span is pretty bad with that.
You just build everything in a box within arm's reach, and you're like, cool, that's my base, fuck off, kind of thing, rather than making something majestic.
And I haven't gotten around to personally, this is just my own personal issue, is because I played the closed beta and the demo, this is the third time I've had to go through the start of the game. So I'm my drive to building my base has been kind of low, so I haven't gotten too much into that. However, I've been playing with with Kevin and a bunch of people in my Discord and everything like that, and some of the crazy bases I've seen, you can fully fill it out with turrets and everything, you can make it look really cool. And one of the things I like is that you can run while you're exploring, you can find really unique items. So going in each other's houses and going whoa, where'd you get that, dude? That's fucking cool. So there is some cool RNG in that aspect.
Just to follow up on that, one of the to just follow up on something you just said, the game obviously gets a lot of comparisons to Rust, DayZ, etc., the survival genre, but there are a lot of MMO aspects to it. However, they are doing wipes every 6 weeks, and you obviously just remarked
they do have something called Eternalant, so you can have because I heard about that too, and I have obviously we haven't gone to the wipe yet, but I did. Once you reach level 20, you get it's an Eternalant, so you can kind of it's your permanent space, right? So I could see them doing why they do that, because right now, for example, when I was playing the demo, this was objectively funny the first time. People will put they join up the game, there's bases everywhere, and then they might not come back, so they need to go through a wipe like that. Because there was a time where I was driving around on my little motorcycle and out of nowhere I just because there are still a lot of bugs and graphical issues. So, and this is the company's first game, so I really offer them as much grace as possible. There was a bug a few nights ago where I was getting a lot of crashes, and everyone I knew was getting the same crash, but it only lasted for 2 hours before they released a hotfix. Right. And there were people getting really pissed off about it, and unless I didn't pay for anything. So I can't be mad at a free game having an issue right at launch. And unlike the only time maybe if I paid for the battle pass, I'd have a little bit more of a problem. But like I just kind of just logged off. I was like, they're gonna fix it soon. It's fine.
Right.
And just, and they did. I haven't had a crash since. There are some other like graphical problems I've had where like slow down, like maybe loading in. And I think I also rationalize some of that might be because I do need to update my CPU on my computer. So I could be bottlenecked.
Right.
So I don't want to get too like, I don't want to criticize that too much because that could be an issue on my end. So I try to be like as fair with this stuff. And especially
is it version 1.0?
Yeah.
Yes. So, and like I said, free game. It's their first game. I think, I'm trying to be as cool with them as possible. So anyway, but with the wipes, I was driving around my motorcycle and out of nowhere on the demo, and my character, because of the fact that there was a lag with load, I didn't see that someone decided to put their base in the middle of the street.
Right. Okay.
But it was like clearly somebody who just left it there, and because it wasn't built up at all, it's just the foundation. And my character, I didn't see what it was. My character just flew right off her motorcycle. I was like, "What the fuck happened?"
And then you turn around,
and then I turned around. It was the building,
right?
But it was just the foundation. And I turned around, I was like, and I started laughing because I was like, "That's legitimately funny."
Yeah.
But then afterwards, it happened a few times. I would forget it was there, or it was another one. It's like, okay, it was funny the first time.
Right.
Now it's getting
annoying now.
Now it's annoying. So I think the 6-week wipes would actually be beneficial in a game like this. So offering something like Eternal Land would be very beneficial to the player. Because that way you have some place where you can keep all of your stuff, and you could save, by the way, like there's with the base thing. Because what could potentially get like really annoying is like if you worked really hard on your base and it gets wiped, you could save the blueprint and just put it back down, and you can move your base wherever you want.
Right.
Is there character progression?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the wipe happens. It's a soft.
I don't know about that yet, so I would think not.
I don't believe the character progression resets. I think it's just mostly buildings and some items.
It's just the buildings, but like I said, you can go while you're in the building menu. Building is so quick and easy. Like there's some issues with it. Like, and I'm sure they'll fix it later. Like putting your roof on could be a pain in the ass because like it doesn't want to move where it doesn't lock into where you want it to. It's like, oh damn it, you have those moments. But what I know is you can save, like if you've made a really you've been putting a lot of effort into your base, you can save the blueprint. So when they do the wipe, unless they remove that, which I doubt, because you could put the blueprint in your Eternal Land, you'll be able to place your base again if it's something that you have your heart set on.
Right.
So I don't one character per server, or do you have a character and you can take that?
Initially, it started out where you would have one character only, and then they did roll out additional characters because there were complaints. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like there might have been issues because they're trying to listen to feedback, because I'm in their Discord, and I've been in the content creation Discord too. Like I didn't get anything for free, guys. So like just so I'm giving my feedback, like honest feedback here. But like I am in that, and like I know they were talking about like they noticed the complaints about the lack of multiple characters, so they rolled it out almost. I think they did it too fast, and I think that's what caused that crash.
Right.
So and they do ask routinely, like, hey, can you do a survey? And it's like, so they're trying to listen, and I can respect that for them, because it seems like they want to do this right, even though like there are the comparisons to other MMO survival games. I think what really stands out the most is like it is easily accessible. You could jump in and play pretty quickly. Like once you get past the beginning, there's some cool stuff. It's easy, and it is easy to play. I know they're rolling out new stuff on Monday. So they're going to be rolling out stuff pretty quickly. So I don't know. I do want to hold off until some of those rollouts come, because the game just came out. But I do want to see. I do want to know more about like the lore in the game, because there does seem to be some cool stuff. Like and the creature designs in particular are really what stands out. Like there's some pretty cool shit. Like like there's like every once in a while like there's these roving like buses with like hands for feet instead of wheels, and it's you get to shoot it down and then they'll like go in, there's some loot, there's some cool stuff like that. And like some of the other cool ones I found was like the balloon man, where you just it's just big balloons that keep inflating and you have to shoot the balloons down. Like there's some cool stuff. And I've noticed with some of these games, like there's so much more emphasis in that, because like I feel where it does lack, at least in my opinion, is like my character's blonde. And in the demo, there was a lot more color options and you can customize the hair color. And while that's a small gripe, I do feel the character can be a little lacking.
Right.
But
is it gated behind the shop or?
No, there's just like, for example, I was creating my character and I'm like, okay, so now I know, because like the first time I made the game, or I played the game, started the closed beta, I made a character and I wasn't really fond of how she looked. And then the second time I made her, like she looked like, usually with MMOs, I try to make them look more like I do.
Right.
So like, and then this time I was like, there's not even like any hair option. I could change her eyebrow colors to be pink.
But not the hair.
Not her hair.
That is very odd.
Yeah, it was a really odd choice. So I'm wondering. So again, I'm trying to be gracious on this one and be like, maybe they'll roll it out later, and maybe that's like it was an oversight on their part. But the character creator is in that regard is very lacking, and that is unfortunate, because as a player, like you're going to be looking at this character all the time. You should have more options to make them look as interesting as possible. But there's some cool stuff. Like you have like these little deviations you can collect, where like if while you're out exploring, you can get like the little beaver who will do logging for you, and and it makes like the building parts, like the base building, really a lot more fun. Because like if I'm going around, like every time I log back in, like I have a shit ton of resources. I'm like, yes.
Right. That's cool.
So it's great. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. I think I do think a lot of I guess like the only concern that most people I've seen have is the fact that it is a Chinese game. So if that's something that bothers you, I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
I haven't had any issues.
Otherwise, would you recommend it?
I would recommend. It's a free game.
Yeah.
If you're interested, if you're looking for a new looter shooter survival, you are, like the vibe kind of seems kind of cool to you, like, because there's some kind of horror aspect, like horror creative. Like it looks like
what's the narrative thread like in it? Actually, I was going to ask.
It's very like MMO-esque. Like you'll have like certain scripted events like you have to go through, and then but it's more side questy. It feels very passive right now.
Right.
So that's how that's why I want to wait until there's more content out. But right now it feels kind of passive, and like there are a lot of things that will crop up.
And how much is the battle pass as well? Sorry,
there's a $10 one, and then there's a $24 one.
Of course, there's two, right?
Of course, there's two.
It's a free-to-play game.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't have the battle pass. If I see my yeah, and like I said, I would recommend it. It's a free-to-play game. Go and check it out. There's a free battle pass too, that that one as well, like the season pass, whatever that is offered, like with the base.
What is in the pass? Do you feel like you're missing out on anything without the pass?
Like there's the cosmetics and stuff like that. Like my husband, and like he immediately got it, and he's got like some cool little cosmetics, and you could tell he has one, and that, but whenever he's into games like this, he plays them for so long that it actually is a benefit for him to be playing with the battle pass. Right. I want to wait at least a few more weeks before, because wait at least until the probably right before the battle, like the next season rolls out. And that's when I'll make my decision whether or not I find value in purchasing the battle pass, because see how much, if I see myself playing it longer than a few weeks, because that's where I have an issue with MMOs, is that when I don't play games for long term. I lose interest quickly. I just do. It's not a fault of the game. at all. It's a personal issue. So if I don't see myself going like, okay, I played like 2 weeks, I'm enjoying this, but I think I'm done, or I don't see myself going back, then I wouldn't pick up the battle pass. But if it's something like, if you are one of those people who really likes to, play the long game when it comes to like MMOs like this, the 24, like they also have their purchasable like cosmetics and stuff like that, and they're neat. Yeah. They're all neat.
Is it only cosmetics that you can purchase?
Well, there's I have to double check on that, but okay. I'm a fashion souls girly, so like whenever I see games like I only just look at the cosmetics, and if they can be pretty pricey, they're so. I do have an issue with.
I'm the same. I wish Darktide was a free-to-play game so I could justify the amount of money I've spent on stupid clothing in that fucking game.
Yeah. But so again, if you don't want to shell out any money, and you don't think I don't think you're really losing out too much by not buying the battle pass, so you're fine with just having just the basic cosmetics. Then go, I would fully recommend it. If it's easy to play, if you have some friends playing with you, you can group up. There's some pretty cool they're constantly rewarding you too. Every time I log on, there's so many things. A lot of streamers, for people who are streaming the game, have drops on. So I've had drops on too. I'm not advertising you watch it, just saying that I've had drops on too. So there are, and I've been using those, but aside from that, I'm not doing anything else, just playing through the game. And it's been a nice little time waster when I'm if you get really, if you're like me and you want to, I haven't been smoking weed, but if I smoked weed, I would be so all in the building. It's so fun.
Right.
I'm being asked how long the seasons are.
I don't know off the top of my head.
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. He said it. 6 weeks.
So I got the numbers.
I do have the numbers.
Yeah. Well, I already said I'm not good at math.
Fair. So, but
yeah, no. I mean, 6 weeks is good. If anything, I'm probably gonna stick with it for the first season, and then I'll decide afterwards if whether or not I'll keep going. But so far, I'm enjoying myself. I could see myself playing this for a few weeks at least, and that's kind of. And at the end of the season, if it's worth buying a battle pass, then I'll do it.
Right.
I might actually check that out. It sounds kind of chill, especially when you said it's a stoner game. And traditionally, even though I don't smoke anymore,
the amount of
I do enjoy stoner games.
My favorite method is you can go around with a baseball bat, and that's my method of attacking. It's just going through
IRL or in the game.
In the game, both.
Killing people in game.
I know you're in Cali, dude. I don't know.
True. To round the subject off, there is I think something we should address, but that's a controversy. I'm doing air quotes for audio listeners.
I'll go for it.
There's been people getting very alarmist about the end user license agreement, because there are sections of it that says if you are required by law, as in there are certain countries, i.e. China, where you are required by law to provide your government ID, they store your government ID. You have to provide ethnicity stuff, or if you link your account.
I didn't get asked any of that.
Yeah, because you're not in China, for example. Yeah, so that's the thing. So people have been reading the end user license agreement, which is basically something they've just copied and pasted for all regions, and it's saying, you have to provide your government
ID.
Like I said,
it's people are going to take issue with the fact that it's a Chinese game, and there are going to be issues that arise because of the fact that it's a Chinese game. And if those are things that at work that you are not privy to, I mean, then don't play the game. If that's something that bothers you, don't play the game. Also, keep in mind about the whole data mining shit. It's you also are if you're on Facebook and all that stuff. There's so many things that data mine like that. So whatever.
To clarify, I mean, that there are lots of things in
your
the
battles
EULA.
On that one.
Yeah.
Huh?
So to clarify, there are things in the EULA that say providing your email address.
I've never been asked.
I know.
Personally.
I'm just explaining for listeners. So for people
Okay. No, I'm just reinforcing what that's in there. I haven't been exposed to that in the game itself. That's just trying to reassure those alarmist people. If they saw that, it's not. I've not come across it. So, and honest to God, if that was a part of the game, I wouldn't be playing it because I'm not putting my government ID on a fucking free to play game.
Yeah. So just to summarize, it mentions government ID, ethnicity, email address signed in via, if you like signing in with Game Pass, for example, where they have your email address, things like that. Unless you are specifically going, yeah, I want to sign in with my Xbox account, they're not going to get those details. If you are not in a country where they don't require government ID, you are not going to have to have to. Right. So just for those people, it is not a mandatory thing.
Question. If I did in Europe, if I signed in with my Xbox that has my details, they're keeping that?
They only keep it for as long as they need to. Basically, the EULA they've got is very standard. But for some reason, gamers and content creators, even Game Quickie, Linus Tech Tips, or Linus Media Group, they've even remarked on it, and it's like, it's a standard EULA. It's the same in every game.
Doesn't mean it isn't legally binding.
But but it's when I say it's a standard EULA, it's one that the stuff they have in there is stuff that they are required by law to have in there because of the countries that they facilitate the game in.
Also, kind of like explain this too is like what I could see why people are pointing out, and that's fair. That's a good thing to be pointing out because in the States we're not required to. There is a lot of translation problems in the game still. That's why I said the game is not like, it doesn't feel completed yet. Like when they rolled it out, if I'm being honest, and I think that's probably the most irresponsible thing with this release, is that you will play while you're playing the game, like in-game items still have Chinese characters.
Yeah.
So like this also could be like an oversight
that's the thing. It's actually in most games already, but for some reason, a bunch of creators have just jumped up on this one specifically.
People pick and choose it because it's because the developer is Chinese. That's why they're doing it. Because the same thing happened with things like TikTok.
Yeah, 100%.
So and like I said, if that is something that bothers you, I fully support. If that bothers you, don't play it. It's not gonna, you don't have to play it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, and so it doesn't bother me.
We'll move on to the last subject. I'm going to cover some Last Epoch briefly. We'll probably cover the Apex Legends stuff next podcast for those of you interested in that.
Yeah, but, we have a tighter time crunch today. Sorry, guys.
No, all good. So I've been playing Last Epoch. It's the new cycle. It is 1.1, their third, well, technically their second cycle because it launched immediately with their first cycle. They've added a new system called the Nemesis system. So as you're leveling, as you're going through the monolith and endgame systems as well, you come across these monsters called Nemesis, or Nemesis, I suppose. And when you come across them, they're a corpse initially. You click on the corpse and it goes, oh, here's some items you can have. And you can either challenge the Nemesis immediately, and if you do and beat it, you get those 4 items, or you can empower it, so you have to fight it, and then it disappears and runs away. And then when you encounter it again, you've got the choice to continue empowering it, and it buffs the gear. It also occasionally throws in this egg that you can get, and if you get the egg, you can either click on the replace, put one of your items in it, and then the Nemesis will hold your item and empower that as well. So you could get like a unique item with no legendary potential.
So it like cooks it?
Yeah, essentially, pretty much, yeah. So if you choose to put your own item in it, it holds it, so you no longer have access to that item until you've decided to challenge the Nemesis. But it can add legendary potential. It can just add random affixes on top of the unique item. So you can get some really gnarly and crazy gear early game as well. And can
it fuck up your build?
It can never fuck up your build. It never replaces affixes. You may end up with an affix that you're not fond of or a mod on it. So like say you put a shield in there and then it buffs it and it adds crit strike rather than you were hoping for block or block chance or whatever, block effectiveness, things like that. You might get something that you don't want, but it hasn't made the item worse because the only way to make it better in that instance is via that same system. So yeah, so there's RNG, but you will never come out with a worse item. So it's safe in that regard. They've also added a end game boss system, which they are going to be expanding on. So you now have like a pinnacle boss. So there were some boss fights in the game that were already relatively hard, but they were at the end of dungeons and things like that, or at the end of what we call timelines, which are kind of like map bosses in a way, if you're a PoE enjoyer. But otherwise, they've added the system where you go through the monoliths, you go through the various timelines, and then when you're playing the empowered version, so like the end game, you kill the timeline boss, and immediately what's called a harbinger will spawn. And the harbinger is random and also inherits some of the skills of the boss that you just killed. So you can get some really gnarly combos of like, and it's varied as well because you don't know what to expect. So you've got this random boss that's shown up. You're like, oh, that's who I'm fighting. And then he's inherited the stuff from the boss that you just killed. And you're like, oh, fuck, this combo is going to like ruin my life. Or you could be like, oh, this combo's easy and stuff like that. Once you've killed all those harbingers, there's 10 in total. You have what I think they're called like harbinger eyes or something like that. You then can put those towards the pinnacle boss, which is called Aberoth, which is a really beefy fight where you have to fight some of the harbingers again, sometimes 2 at a time. And then you fight Aberoth, who's just got like a really cool arena that changes and goes through all the various timelines. So the actual arena itself changes in aesthetic partway through the fight. And the boss mechanics are quite substantial compared to previous bosses. It's almost akin to like a really end game boss in, say, a MMO like Final Fantasy 14 or WoW. So you've got loads of mechanics where you have to dodge stuff on the floor, and it's constantly shifting and changing in different phases and things like that.
Don't stand in the fire.
Don't stand in the fire. Don't stand in the purple shit in this case, or it will murder you and stuff like that. It looks really, really cool. I haven't actually encountered the boss so far because I've been trying to make builds for YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it seems to have gone down quite well. I think there's still more to be added, but much like how Pulp was given leeway to the Once Human devs, I think the same is generally happening with the community for Last Epoch. It's an independent company. It's a small studio, and they're competing with the likes of Path of Exile and Diablo 4 and keeping up. I would actually say that out of those 3, Diablo 4 is the weaker game of those 3. So Last Epoch's doing quite well. I look forward to seeing what they're going to add in the future. They've already done a roadmap where they're going to be adding more pinnacle bosses, more dungeons, things like that, and expanding on that end game. If you're looking for an action RPG where you can really just play around with the loot system and just play it for a couple of weeks and then come back in 3 months when they do a new cycle, I think you're going to have a good time. I think you're going to genuinely have more fun in this than you would in Diablo 4, where you play it for like a week and it's substantially cheaper as well. Also, #ad, they gave me a key to give away, so just for disclosure, but otherwise not being paid monetarily. Highly recommend. Pulp, I reckon you should play it. I think you'd like it, especially if you're into like making really cool builds. Me and Pulp have actually discussed...
I know my husband likes that game.
I was just about to say, like, me and Pulp have discussed the potential special in the future, and chats, commenters, Spotify have comments now, YouTube comments. Let us know if you want me to teach Pulp Path of Exile 2 when it comes out. I think that would be a good starting point, right? Rather than Path of Exile 1.
Every once in a while, I get shown by either Bryan or my husband of the skill tree from Path of Exile. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I think PoE 2 would be a good starting point because they've specifically designed that to be a lot more new player friendly as opposed to PoE 1. It's like, okay, so first Google everything and then play the game and make your character. So yeah, so let us know if that's a special you would like to see. Let's jump into shoutouts.
I would like to see that. I am commenting live.
Cool.
I would like to see.
I want to learn more about Warhammer too, Peachy.
All the Warhammers.
What? We just did a Warhammer.
We just
did a Warhammer. I want to tell you about Necromunda next.
I'm so excited.
Let's jump into shoutouts. Pulp.
Hi, I'm Pulp Fictionally. I'm a former Instagram model turned variety streamer. You can find me on all social media under Pulp Fictionally, except for Twitter because someone took my name. It's Pop Fictionally. I've been streaming Once Human. Just came out this week, so I've been playing that all week. And obviously I'm done with the Elden Ring DLC. Beat it. Wonderful. Took me way too long, 5 hours for the final boss, but doesn't matter. I'll be returning to that eventually because I'm going to be playing that solo on PS5. Probably going to be revisiting Bloodborne soon. But either way, I got stuff planned for you guys. And until I'm working again, I'll be streaming every day. But anyway, that's it. I'll be streaming later tonight some more Once Human. And I don't know what I'll be doing tomorrow, but I'll see you whenever. Peachy.
I'm Peachy Pixelate. You can find me on the internet as Peachy Pixelate. Working on some videos, Warhammer shit. Actually playing some RimWorld at the moment, which has got his hooks into me. Offline, I've been playing Factorio. Man, there is so much fun to be had in a game that only costs £14 and you own it forever. That's me.
Peachy likes rimming.
I enjoy rimming. There's just so many war crimes.
He's become
Wait a minute, you made me say something stupid.
He's become a very efficient rimmer, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't. I'm a child, Peachy. I'm sorry, RimWorld. The name always gets me.
What did you say, motherfucker?
Speaking of saying something stupid,
Rude.
it's Bryan the Pirate.
Rude. Well, my name is Bryan the Pirate. Thank you, as always, to my co-host, Pulp Fictionally, and thank you to everyone that's been watching. I can be found on the internet as well under Bryan the Pirate on everything. That's Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads that I'm trying to use more often. I will likewise be streaming pretty much directly after the show some more Last Epoch if you're interested in that. I'm currently making a Falcon punch build, so you're unarmed and you literally punch people to death and they explode and get catch fire and stuff like that. So that should be a giggle.
Ooh, that's exciting.
As I mentioned before, we will be covering some of the topics we missed this evening on next episode. So in 2 weeks, should all go to plan. Look forward to that. Otherwise, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/fully rendered, and on X/Twitter, fully rendered TV, and of course our YouTube, which is fully rendered, if you like to watch shows on repeat, for example, and things like that. Especially if you really want to see the thumbnail of Doc in the most previous episode.
Oh my god, the thumbnail for the last episode killed me.
I haven't done, and I am so proud of you, Bryan, because it shocked even me.
I saw it on Twitter first, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, it was. I was proud of that one. It was very quickly thrown together, but when it was done, I just smiled at it.
It was very, it was very poignant. And so. very
remember
topical.
when we used to do boring thumbnails? Do you remember that?
There was a time, but now we're risque. But that's going to be it from us this evening. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, all that shenanigans. Farewell. We'll remember you.
Bye.
I won't.
You won't. Where's the stop button? I cry.